to be fair, this is a game that it's not on the knife's edge because of the fact that both of these teams are closely contested and things like this, but at the end of the season, it may determine who's in that top 4 era.
Yeah, it definitely could. I mean, 7th Heaven were really nipping at the heels of even the top 3 last stage. So if they are able to start strongly, which they did last stage as well, they could continue to push up into the upper echelon of APAC South. So yeah, this could be a really big deal for 7th Heaven, but on the flip side, this could be a really big deal for Order. They seriously struggled in Stage 1, and now they've come into this with a couple of fresh roster changes, a fresh name change for Bailey. So this is a new chance for Order to be able to get out of the gate firing.
Prime position to do so. What are we thinking about the bans, honestly, Flores? Not really, not a friendly boy on Oregon. I think we might see a fair few bans like that.
Yeah, I actually think he might get a few bans, and I think it just is the fact that he does have those 4 Rotero drones, and they are so versatile. You know, it's not just about clearing a shield or like an evil eye or opening a hole in the wall or a castle barricade. It's also, I think what's become very prevalent is this whole clearing of Mozzie pests with them. You've got 4, right? So you can just use them to clear the Mozzie pests so that actual drones can get through. You can still get the info, and that's really strong because if a team has all the info in the world, they can formulate some really good decisions, and that's dangerous.
So, what have we come to expect from both of these rosters? I feel as though 7th Heaven have really just been a team that took us by surprise, and it wasn't just a one-off game. There were multiple games where this team, this entire roster really performed to an unbelievable height. And I want, like, the question for me is, are they able to back it up? Whereas for Order, Raven, you know, just for those who weren't there during the pre-show, Order really just didn't have the stage that we expected in Stage 1, and it was a little bit lackluster. So we just don't want to see that trend repeat. Both of these teams, there's very oh god, Specker, you're joshing me, aren't you? You're joshing me. No, you're joshing me.
Yeah, classic. It's fine. It's all fine here. But to your point that you were starting to build towards about Order, yes, like they did have a very underwhelming Stage 1, which was really disappointing because basically everything from last year and leading into this new format this year, they had really good form. They were looking very strong. They were considered top 2 of Oceanic Siege, basically. But no, they really couldn't deliver in Stage 1. No. And this is their chance to try and, you know, prove themselves that they deserve a spot here in APAC South, that they can challenge with these other teams in APAC South, not just the other Oceanic teams, but also Southeast Asia. But Southeast Asia prevails in the entry here. ED taking out Specker from the get-go.
Not ideal. Souffle's actually spotted that drone that saw him rotating back in the kitchen. And it's just not a great sign, especially when it's Spec is someone who very much thrives off that energy, the momentum, if you will, that kind of travels along with him and his personality. All right, look, you're going to see it right now. I don't know if Spec is going to keep flicking, but you can see the flick of the cams there. That's something that we'll want you to look at throughout the season, because that, of course, is being honest on who's watching and who's not.
Yeah, it is a neat little feature. You can see what a dead player is actually doing in the afterlife, whether it's on a drone or spectating a teammate. So yeah, definitely a neat little feature. Now, Order have progressed through and gotten some really good map control here from the west side. And look, it's a solid bounce back after losing Specker early, but we are going to get the rehost after all, Matic. So I think Specker's probably thanking his lucky stars that this has gone through, and that he'll get a chance to relive in the server.
Yeah, I'm sure that he was just running wildly because he thought that there was 100% a rehost car. I'm just going to say that. And we don't know for a fact because, of course, it is Specker and we've seen some pretty crazy things. And, of course, the game is actually 95% out of the server, according to him. It's actually got nothing to do with your mechanical abilities or game knowledge, anything like that. It's all up in the noggin, isn't it, Raven?
95% mental is apparently what they say. I will say, though, I discovered scientific facts from an actual neuroscientist. He claims that competing is 100% mental.
Wow.
There you go.
So you're telling me that if I had the right mentality, I could play against these players and do well. You've seen me play. Now, be completely honest with me. If I had the right mental, is it possible that I could compete?
Yeah, sure, man.
Oh,
absolutely.
No,
more the point is, like, you need to use your brain to actually do anything mechanically, right? So that was the point. But look, I think it's a valid point in that, you know, this scenario right now, could this like tilt order? Like, are they getting frustrated at this stage? We did have that extended delay at the start, and now we've had this rehost. Sometimes when you're just raring to go, you've hyped yourself up, you've tried to give yourself that positive energy. When it gets sold out, sometimes it actually reverses or goes to the flip side. And then Specker also had that intro spawn peak. Look, maybe that could affect the mentals, and maybe that might, you know, just create a bumpy start for order.
He had a warm welcome from the team on 7th Heaven, that's for sure. But, you know, I do want to lean into that a little bit, because we think about Order and their storyline, their progression. You touched on it perfectly right before we kind of got into that round, which is they have, you know, for the last year, I want to say, have really impressed us, you know, throughout 2020. They were a team to watch coming into 2021. We thought, oh, this is on. They're going to be, you know, the team that really contests wildcard. Of course, wildcard fell off for obvious reasons. We don't need to go into that again. I think we've talked about that enough. But most definitely for Order, you know, they came into stage one. We had such high expectations. And I just don't think any of us were prepared for how closely contested the entirety of APAC South was going to be. You know, we really expected there to be some very clear outliers and teams that just weren't able to compete. And I think one of the only teams that may be disappointed in any of our expectations was, in fact, Order. You know, it's crazy to think that. And they were the team that were picked up by Order now. They were originally Akami. And that is a lot of pressure. That would have been a lot of pressure. Yeah. So starting out here, this is a really good chance to get a fresh, clean slate. I'm sure if they listen back to the VOD, they're not going to be happy with me. They're not going to enjoy me for kind of batting on about their history and stage one performance. But it does really start to look in a better light if they can turn things around in stage two. Because, of course, the season, it's well, there you go, I just said it. It's a year long, right? It's 3 seasons, 3 stages in that year. So they do have the time to turn it around and to really show us that what we expected of them in stage one will kind of shine through, maybe on the back of a roster shuffle. You never really know.
Well, that's the thing, is they've brought in Nate, so he is subbing in or potentially even replacing Joker in core. Haven't had the clarity on that one, but either way, Nate is going to be playing in this match. Now, he was subbing for them last stage, that's definitely for sure. And he had some pretty good matches when he did actually play. On top of that, they've now brought in Nico as well, as Ipistyle has moved to the coach role. So they have had some changes that potentially could rejuvenate the roster. I think that's what makes them a little bit scary in this stage for their opponents. Yeah, is they've gone back into almost like an unknown territory, right? They've had 2 pretty big roster changes. It's going to significantly change dynamic. It's probably changing roles. Who knows what effect that's going to have when it stacks up against these other teams in APAC South. But based on what we saw from last stage, with teams that made roster changes and that rejuvenation, it seems to always generally work quite positively. Yeah, I think it's rare that stuff like that goes adversely, but you never quite know. And I think tonight is a great taster for that.
You're a much, I'm going to say smarter man than I am, but you're a much smarter man than I am. It's not very hard. I'm sure 95% of viewers out there probably are. But there is one question I want to pose to you, and that is, of course, because you are formerly a coach and, you know, you've played, and there's a whole lot of background to you that allows me to kind of get a deeper answer out of you on this question. But if you're 7th Heaven coming into today, do any of Order's VODs or any scrims that they'd played up until, you know, the entire shuffle or half shuffle, I'm still not sure what's going on with Nate, but like do you just completely forget about everything you've seen already?
No, but I definitely think you have to be careful how much you start to read into it. Like, there's no point making hard counter strats because they're probably changing things, right? Yeah. But you can always discover teams' patterns and preferences in terms of what they like to do. And I think if anything, you're just going to create like a mental checklist. If you start to see those patterns emerging in the game as you start, then you can be like, okay, cool, what we saw on those VODs, that still counts. Like we can start to work around the counters that they've built for that. But I think it's important that they don't funnel themselves into, you know, those old VODs and the old counters, because yeah, it really could be dead weight at this stage. They're going to come into this game, they might see something completely different from Order, and if they've prepared for something super different, it's going to be, you know, a tough effort to turn that around.
It will be. I just, you know, we've sold the storyline of, for lack of a better explanation, Order bad, Seventh Heaven good into stage 1. You know, that was really the baseline for all of our understandings coming into stage 2. And of course, it's a completely clean slate. There is just something to this Seventh Heaven roster that I think is really quite scary. You think about what they're achieving and the fact that they don't have, you know, the support of an org, and, you know, ED isn't playing on a typical gamer chair. You know what? I want Xenox and ED to compare gamer chairs at the moment. I think that there'll be quite a nice treat in that analysis segment if we do get to the point where Seventh Heaven win. But yeah, there's such a beautiful story to Seventh Heaven. You know, I wouldn't even necessarily call it an underdog story anymore. It's just this storyline of something that we would never have expected really flourishing quite beautifully. And this is an excellent opportunity. That's 2 free drones if I've ever seen them. But it's a beautiful chance for them to really solidify themselves here. Oh my god, Nate.
Well, yeah, he's just going in behind the Gemini. Some nice little live droning there, but this is going to be stunted by Spirited. Getting aggressive on the laundry stairs, taking out Jack Dad at the front door. That's, yeah, look, not a great start again for Order in this the restart of round 1. Pretty much in the same position. It's just it's Jack Dad that's passed instead of Specker, and that's probably worse, to be honest, because Jack Dad on the ace has some pretty important hard breach there. They have Nate as backup, but still, that's a significant hit.
That's a bit of a frustrating one from Order, I guess. You know, you thought you were doing everything right. You were getting a lot of room for yourselves to deal with as you pleased, and just so quickly as it shut down Seventh Heaven. It's certainly the way that they would have wanted to start. You know, the second you saw that kill, they pretty much all but fell back. Hang on, there was someone over in Big Tower on tier 3. Oh, ED, hello. Good to see you over there, jolly chap. That is really dangerous.
Yeah, he could fall from that height too. That is dangerous.
Oh, God. It's an OH&S thing, right?
Yes. Should be careful. But no, for real, it is dangerous for Order, because I'm sure they haven't droned all the way up to tier 3, and if you haven't got a drone preset in the right place, you're not quite going to know if somebody's rotated up. So we'll see whether this has impact very soon, because he's going to pick the hatch, and he does get the pick onto Nate. That's both hard breaches off the board now for Order. This is going to make it significantly harder.
Certainly might have to look more so to the wits and their will rather than their utility. And Nico, you can see, maybe going to get in a position here to contest any kind of retreat from that backstage area, but there's absolutely no need for them to at this point. They've got all the control. They're pretty much laughing at this point for control. There's still one player up in kitchen. Dangerous times ahead.
Certainly for Order, because 30 seconds, not a lot of time to try and orchestrate an attack here. They don't have a lot of angles or control to really do anything to 7th Heaven's setup. This really is going to be tough here. Nico trying to get that info. ED on the knife flank. This is falling apart drastically for Order.
Certainly is. Specker will at least find a kill to deny the flawless round. However, anything more than that is but a mere consolation. Maybe a nice shot thrown in there as well. But it's all smoke and mist and compliments. And 7th Heaven, that's a demanding round.
Yeah, really, really good start from 7th Heaven. Both before the rehost and even after the rehost, they managed to get kills within 40 seconds. Really good way to set the pace and make a statement against Order. And I'm going to circle back to something you started, or you did talk about a bit before the first round started, and that was just about how strong 7th Heaven started to pose. And that's just so true. Like, they were really taking down some good opponents in Stage 1, and they also had, you know, an alright playoff run. And to Guz's point on the desk, we all basically wrote them off before Stage 1 had commenced. We all did power rankings like, oh, this is how we think it's going to end up. Flip that on its head because they were all wrong. And 7th Heaven, yeah, they really proved that they can be a consistent, scary team. Some of the stuff that they pull off is pretty incredible, and especially on their attacks, which I think is what is the most terrifying part, is that they have this knack of just coordinated aggression in their attacks.
Yep. It's it really has been such an interesting storyline for us to unfold throughout Stage 1. Mainly because of the fact that it's always fun when something unexpected happens, and definitely so, you know, their aggression was highlighted throughout the entire season, but how impactful it really was, especially when it came time for playoffs. I don't even think that it highlighted enough what they can really achieve when they do start to slowly but surely tweak any kind of issues that they may have. And just on that, you know, a player like Pecan, for example, is in the top 5 for, you know, your positive KDs of Stage 1. And there's just so many highlighted players, Spirited with the clutches. Never mind, I'm going to hold that thought for a second. But there's so many players that we can look to on this roster and really just give them the thumbs up for what they've achieved so far.
Yeah, that's very true. Order, they're going to have to try and just dig deep here. Answer back, stay in touch with 7th Heaven. They don't want to be in the same position as Knights, trying to orchestrate such a mammoth comeback. But so far, they've got some really good progress over on the small tower side, just clearing out dining and kitchen, just to ensure that can't be vertical play coming in from that section at least. Ray is still holed up in kitchen though, and ED still in the server room nearby to back him up. It's going to be a very critical gunfight here. If they can clear out these two 7th Heaven players, they'll be in a good spot.
Nate posted up. Going to be given anything for free right now. Shoulder to shoulder, Specker and Ray, in fact, just a little kitchen divider is all that's between them. Fizzles out into nothing, but once more, Order, what are they looking to do for this round? It looks like Nate still completely well and truly trying to open this round and allow Specker to get into a nice position. What?
That was clean. Oh my lord.
Was that a Juan tap?
I think so. SMG11 does shoot pretty fast, so sometimes there might be just, you know, 2 bullets. But either way, that was very clean and very beautiful. But Order, they keep pushing, and Nico does answer back for Order, as does Jack Daddy. So they've given themselves a really good man advantage right now. Pika is nowhere near the bomb site. It is just Souffle that's holding it down, and he's not even alive anymore. So Pika, on your shoulders, mate, 1v4.
Bomb located by attackers.
Maybe your best attempt. Hang on. It might even be better than a best attempt. It might be gnarly. No, they turn around just in time. It looked like they just spotted. Oh my goodness, the footing from the tracks of Z. That would have been deadly had he been in position. It would have taken down at least 2 of them. And, you know, all things aside, it is such a great round from Order. It is really what we saw from them. I really want to say in 2020, which is that Specker did take a large portion of some of their opening engagements, and in Stage 1, it just didn't pan out all that well. Let's be completely honest here. But right then and there, he has really highlighted what he can do on this roster. Maybe some dangerous things to come. I don't know. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, and look, I just want to justify your assessment of Specker on entry last stage. He was 3 and 17 for the entire stage. That's minus 14 overall. And like, can I absolutely bury him here? It was actually the worst entry stat the entire week. So
sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
It was a very rough stage for Order in general, but definitely Specker. You know, it was very uncharacteristic for him as well, because he was always one of their top performing kind of star players in the Oceanic Nationals. But yeah, just didn't seem to really adapt that well to APAC South, whether it was just the way that Order were playing or other factors. It's always hard to say. I guess diving deeper into that, what can be concerning is their outstanding player from the last stage was Ippy Style,
Yeah.
and he's now stepped back into a coach role. So I guess that's where the question marks come around with this roster shuffle, is hopefully it is actually rejuvenating them to a point where they feel like their teamwork is a lot more well-rounded.
And, you know, very quickly, I'm going to jump off the back of your comment, off the back of my comment, and say that Ippy Style was an absolute monster of a player in Stage 1, both for the national tournament and also for Stage 1. He was outrageously strong for them. So it, you know, it does pose that question, where are they going to find that, maybe that togetherness that potentially was kind of missing or lacking in Stage 1. I guess we'll find out. And so far, so good. Order haven't really given too much away just yet. Hello?
Oh, okay. Maybe they just want to completely give away... Oh my god, that should have been 2 lives, but there we go. It actually is. This is unbelievable. I don't know what they were trying to really pull off there. Maybe just a cheeky little rush, but it was very well covered from 7. And they had a good, strong position with the shield play as well in Attic. So anyway, Order have really put themselves in a bit of a hole they've got to dig out from here, because not only is that just 2 players gone, that's 1 hard breacher gone, now Specker gone. This is a much better round for 7th Heaven right now.
Could almost be flawless. Jack Daddy will be given a free access into sight, but from there it will be shut down pretty promptly. Anywhere he decides to go from here, he'll be met with at least 1 player. Really nice trades though, and Nico unfortunately cannot transfer to the right positioning, and a really, really strange round that we just saw unfold. I'm scratching my head.
It was a little strange. It did feel like the Attic window jump in was unnecessary, but look, we wouldn't be saying that if they turned around and got that first pick, right? Because 2 of them would have jumped in, they would have had Attic control. You never know, maybe they would have been able to ride that momentum in towards kids' dorms and just completely overran sight. Like, it could have gone a different direction, but certainly an incredibly risky play, and yeah, we saw the result. It put them in such a hole. It was going to be always tough to bring that back.
Just certainly a mind game there, I feel. Maybe if Bailey finds the kill, or... Was it Bailey or Nate who really sent it in there? I'm still... I think both. Both? Was it both, right?
It was both. I think Nate was the first one in.
Okay,
and I'm pretty sure Bailey followed.
Yeah. I mean, look, bold move, but we'll benchmark that. We'll put it in the back pocket, because if we see something like that again, we will really ask the questions of what on earth is going on there. Now, I'm really curious about that Banshee in the sink of Freezer that keeps being placed down. If our obs can go over there. Is that in the actual sink itself, or is it just hovering onto... It's in the sink.
It's in the sink.
So, is that... surely that wouldn't have the line of sight, right?
Look, I guess we're going to find out. I mean, I feel like they must have practiced that in scrims and tested it, and surely it's functional. But I guess what's really strong about that now is it means that even when it's activated, new patch, you know, Malusi, if it activates, you can shoot it to disable it. Now that when it activates, if it's in that sink, which is bulletproof, you can't directly shoot it.
Oh my goodness, Specker leading the charge here like a spearhead. He finds the first on Raid. He's going to continue to progress into sight, but it's not going to pay off. Actually, the trades are somehow... you know what? I give up. I give up on my job. What on earth was that?
That was an insane round. I can't even tell you what just happened. Specker was like rushing down the stairs, and I was thinking, wow, Order, man, this is a good rush. They got the jump. And then within 10 seconds, 7th Heaven just completely traded out 3v1, and it was done and dusted. That was just nuts.
That may well be one of the quicker rounds of Siege I've ever seen. Okay. Well, I guess Order have definitely set a tone here for us to follow for the rest of Stage 2, but as for 7th Heaven, I mean, this is really good signs. really, really strong signs. Not only can they deal with fast rushes, they can deal with things going a lot slower. Overall, certainly damning. And the clash has been brought out here on Spirited, which I believe we saw a handful of times in Stage 1 as well. So definitely something that 7th Heaven can lean on when needed.
Yeah, we did see a bit of clash play, and in general, I think it's fair to say we see it actually quite a lot from a lot of Southeast Asian teams.
Yes.
I know Invictus, for example, have often played a lot of clash. From memory, I feel like I've seen some clash plays on Elevates, Q-Confirm. You know, they all actually do cycle through it quite heavily compared to some of the other regions, at least. It's definitely a pain, right? Like, if you don't have the right operators, which I'm going to say, Order do, Zofia is certainly the easiest counter to clash. Just use those concussions, get the shield out of the way and have a teammate then finish it off. But it just comes down to a lot of coordination to actually do that and deal with it. And it does take utility as well.
Well, see whether Order whether they can deal with it. Just plain and simple. No doubt that they'll be prepared for this. What is going on here? Are they all out on the bedroom balcony? Once again, Order looking to stick in numbers here. Might be good for the trade game, but the second you see the clash, I feel like it's going to slow things down a little bit if they're ever going to see it. Look at all the information they're getting right now.
It's a lot of info. And also, quite a bit of time, you know, almost a whole minute of this entry phase has been taken off for them to really get to this position. Now it's a really big deal. What are they going to do with this? Starts getting pressure from the double window, which means Ray is going to have to push down towards White stairs, and this is a real little moment of chess here. We referenced chess earlier.
Yeah.
Like, this is about moving these pieces into the right spot to make this work, because this could go terribly wrong for Order.
You have a feeling like everything's about to go bang, and to be fair, I have absolutely no idea who this is about to favour. Definitely feels like 7th Heaven have a much better position to be in. However, flushing that player out of Kids makes things a little bit more tricky, a little bit less playable. Spirited's now stuck in a corner, still has the rotate of Hatch open. But for now, Order have done a good job of flushing this out. Look at this flank. This is going to be absolutely massive. He should be able to find at least one for free. They're going to know he's there. Raven, is he going to find more than one? No. Damn.
Close. That really could have been devastating. Either way, I think some damage has been done here. Taking off a player. Nico at that, you know, he's having a pretty rough APAC South debut. Souffle with a great shot onto Specker. 7th Heaven really standing up again.
Call out Specker and Nico. Neither are on drones right now. Maybe there's no drones for them to really use in full effect, but certainly so. Souffle looking to take the forward peak, and it's allowed Spirited to push up. There goes the diffuser, and you know what? The round with it, Raven, because Bailey's left in a 1v4. Diffuser in the hands of 7th Heaven, and they are just storming away with this game.
They are. That was really brutal. And again, it came just down to that really epic battle up in the top floor to try and not only get the picks, but the map control. And yeah, look, 7th Heaven, they came out on top. That clash working out really well and really effective. It was such a trouble for Order to deal with.
Yeah. And
it stalled them out for quite a while as well. It felt like at least 45 seconds went by where we were just kind of waiting for that action to start kicking off.
Yep.
But this is really dangerous territory for Order right now. I know this happens often in Oregon where the defense excels out in front, but you don't want to let it get out to be 1-5. You know, a 2-4 half change is very manageable, but that 1-5 can be quite scary.
Certainly can be. Certainly can be. And I think if we cast our minds back to the 7th Heaven Knights game of Stage 1, the 6-0 first half that we saw from Knights, it was in fact on defense. So there is no limiting how much you can come back from, what kind of deficit you can come back from, but certainly in terms of the mental state, the last thing you want to be doing is burying yourself in a 5-1 deficit. 4 rounds is devastating in Rainbow Six, and you know, one simple mistake is all it takes between you and oblivion, I guess, is probably the best word for it.
10 seconds left before
And
insertion.
Order really being called upon here in this final round of the half. As you were saying, Raven, cannot allow this to go astray.
Locate a bomb.
Yeah, and look, I'm not going to write Order off yet because we kind of did that a little bit with the Knights in the first map, and look, they brought that back, and okay, I was just going to hold myself for a second there. Oh, poor Nico. He's just been absolutely deleted by Souffle. This just goes from bad to worse. And to close off my point, yeah, look, I think we wrote the Knights off a little early in map 1.
Nah.
I'm still hesitant to do so for Order right here. Of course, they could bring it back on defense of Oregon, but I don't know, the form just doesn't feel there at all.
No, it's not like the Knights. You know, with the Knights, we'd really spoken about how good their stage 1 was for APAC. Sorry, excuse me, for APAC South, and how kind of impressed and I guess proud to a point that we were, but Order has certainly been a question mark around what they're going to be able to achieve. And right now, I think we're finding the answer to this, and it's nearly nada, because they are really coming up against a brick wall in 7th Heaven. It's just not bowing favorably whatsoever.
Yeah, it really isn't. Still got so much time on the clock, though, so can Order try and equal this out to make it a bit more manageable? Right now, it just doesn't feel like it. And this is something that is also just really great about 7th Heaven, is they can turn up the aggression, they have some sharp players, but notably, they can be really patient. I remember noticing that in stage 1, that it's really like these two different modes for them. They can chill out and know when to hold it, and then sometimes they can just absolutely all out be gunners.
Yeah. Scary. It's scary when there's two polarizing play styles under the one banner, and it's already been highlighted here, and perfectly in this round. Just so calm, so composed, and Order have just not been given an inch, not a single inch. There is every single turn we've seen so far, Order be met with just the full force of what 7th Heaven have been achieving. That's a nice drone, but what it's going to give is at least an opening to Jack Daddy. Can they work off of it? Oh, yes, they can.
Getting there, chipping away. Oh, 2v3, but that's a big flank from Pika. So that means Jack Dad, he's just going to go hell for leather. He's jumped straight in the double window, trying to see what he can find. But 7th Heaven, they're not going to allow that to happen. They close the round out 5-1 with a very dominant half.
Now we get to see the Order defense on their self-proclaimed best team on Oregon and O's. That has well and truly, as Xenox mentioned before, that has well and truly been debunked multiple times, in fact, in stage 1. So there's no holding on to that right now, but there is, I guess, in terms of, you know, a mental state, in terms of backing yourself in, they have no choice. This is really not the way that they would want to be starting out their stage 2 after their performances earlier in the year. A 7-1 would be utterly demoralizing. And the reason I say 7-1 is because that's the trend that we're seeing right now with how 7th Heaven are playing. Although, granted, we do go defense, we do go a little bit more favored. We'll have to tidy this up.
They do have to tidy this up. And look, I give them a chance on defense because it's just something that we've seen happen quite a lot on Oregon. But I know it does really worry me. I'm just looking back at Oregon map stats here. Defense overall win rate. You know, every bomb site is quite positive for the defense. Overall, 64% in favor of defense last stage in APAC South. So look, if that can give you at least a little bit of hope of Order being able to bring this back, sure. But it's a really big ask, and the curse, maybe from map 1 that I'm going to carry over here. 7th Heaven, they're 1 round away from at least securing 1 point in this match.
Oh, don't. No. Don't say that. We mentioned it so many times as well. It's just 1 point, you know. Sometimes that can be the difference, I think. You know, we look back to stage 1, and sometimes it was just those overtime wins that really got teams across the line or really just put them in contention. So it's certainly one of the most important parts about the new system of point system, Raven, is the fact that, you know, you do need to fight every single game as if it's your last, because 1 point could really be the difference.
Yeah, that's right. 1 point really could be the difference, and I'm sure if we were to bring up the standings, we would see an instance where 1 point probably cost a team that chance to get playoffs, but nevertheless, we have Order versus 7th Heaven in front of us, and it's the 7th Heaven's first attempt at attacking right now, and looking good so far, first minute, doing this sleep across from West, which is very much favoured by a lot of teams, and was kind of the old style for how you would attack Oregon anyway. Now, Order also looking to maybe be aggressive. No, they're starting to double back now, and that's really important because that means that 7th Heaven have total map control, and still half the round yet to play.
It's certainly been a highlighted point in stage 1 of how objective or mini-game based some of this Oregon play is. You know, you can't really afford for the defenders to be allowed to roam, and at the same time you can't just spend your entire round trying to flush them out. You definitely need to start opening hatches. You need to be getting walls open if you need them. I feel like hatches have certainly been the main point of contention throughout all of stage 1, at least in APAC South. Certainly gives you a lot of opportunities and options when it comes to that later, 5 or 50 seconds left, I should say, which we are getting into, mind you. So Order just need to be quite cautious in where 7th Heaven approach from.
So far, it does look like that approach is a bit of a classic split here, taking control around Big Tower, and they've got this meeting control so they can poke from the electric hatch. And then they've got these other kind of satellites, so to speak, with Ray pushing in through Freezer, which he has for free, essentially. Specker has found the opening kill, but 30 seconds. It's going to be tough for 7th Heaven right here.
My goodness, how does Spirited get a kill there? There were nearly 3 players on his position. ED has been allowed to get into E-Room, but it's not going to last. Souffle trying to find something in and around Blue. He's got Spirited with the diffuser in hand. Nothing just on the other side. They're now going to have to try and flush this with Ray going down. Souffle had to win that fight. He can't do so. And Nico can play Ringer Ringer Rosie. Mate gets into position, and it's just as good as gold for Order.
Yeah, they had time on their side in the end there. 7th Heaven had about a window where if they had been able to get things together to where they felt comfortable to execute, maybe it would have worked out. But really, as that clock started to tick away, it just became this frantic, just make something happen kind of push. And Order had all the right positions. Spirited lived for far too long compared to what he really should have, as you were saying. I can't believe he was able to vault down those big tower stairs and managed to get 2 picks out of it as well. Yeah, it's actually crazy. But look, that's a good sign for Order. They've got one more round on the board.
Yep. And we can definitely turn that storyline around in maybe round 9. If Order are able to connect 2 back-to-back, it certainly poses the question. I know that if Guz and Guz and Xenox, I was going to say Guz and Dev for a second there, but no, if Guz and Xenox were currently commentating this game, I'm sure they'd have a thing or two to say about the progression of these sites and how important kids' dorms is. So we're going to find out, Raven. Essentially, this is the must-win site for Order here. They cannot allow it to drop twice, or even once, actually.
Yeah, that's true. And look, that was actually the only attack round that Order won in the first half, was a Dorms attack. That being said, they did go on to lose it another 2 times, as it was defended successfully twice for 7th Heaven. But look, there is definitely some merit to the Dorm site being a bit of a linchpin here. Laundry is very strong for the defense in general, and Dorms can be that real 50-50. And so if you're losing Dorms as defense, you're potentially risking losing 2 of your 3 pick sites, and that means you're therefore losing the hub.
Yep.
So yeah, look, there is definitely merit to the whole Dorms being the linchpin thing for sure.
Well, there you go, Guz and Xenox. You've had your you've had your thoughts confirmed by a real color caster and analyst.
I hate it here.
I want to go home, Mum. Oh, goodness me. Well, I love it here. There's no better place to be than APAC South, I'll tell you that much, Raven. I think you can agree with that. Maybe not with the company that you have, that's for sure.
Oh no, APAC South is great.
Certainly is, and right now, Order's chances of making it through without a single round dropping, maybe not so great. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be a little bit bad.
I thought you might have actually done the full quote just then. I was a bit concerned for you.
No, no, come on. Keep it professional, mate. Clean and respective here on this broadcast.
Good job, you. Now, speaking of keeping it clean, this has been a very clean 90 seconds, at least for the defense. I mean, the attack have not been able to really engage or make anything happen, and it's a bit concerning because this is a site that you kind of want to get that early control. You want to either get some early picks or push your opponents back into the deeper corners of sight, whether it's to be relegated to attic or stuck in kids. That's the kind of stuff you want here. It's just not happening for 7th Heaven.
Nico as well is currently on the stairs of laundry and has all that ability to flank up should he decide to do so. Whether 7th Heaven have the correct drones or intel in place, we'll wait and see, but this could be devastating in the later parts of the round. So please keep your eyes on the scoreboard for Nico as we will start to move elsewhere. As 7th Heaven are still yet to open something up here. There we go, a nice trade from Nico, but his position's now known.
And yeah, look, I'm going to call it out. Ironsight SMG11, hello?
Yeah. He's a gamer, but so is Souffle. And now in a 3 versus 4, no sight control. What do they have? They've got one C4 in the pocket of Jack Daddy. It's going to be too little too late by the time it comes out. Doesn't connect onto anything, and it's making matters worse. ED does go down. An opportunity now granted over the side of Order, but they need to get a move on here. They've got no control of dorms whatsoever as Nico now makes his way in from Trophy. But they're going to have to collapse, and they need to do it now. Souffle stands strong with Spirited hand in hand, and Bailey is cut out of the round completely. My goodness.
Also, now's the time that I'm going to throw the analyst desk under the bus here. They talk down Spirited like he's just this non-fragger. Man is out here top fragging for 7th Heaven in this match. He has been absolutely going off on the hard breach roll on attack so far, but also hard support on defense. This is, look, it's been a great match for him, and 7th Heaven, great match for them so far. They are on match point. They have at least secured 1 point, and well on track to be able to take the victory right here. Yeah.
This is Order's tactical timeout, and we saw this kind of implemented in the online tournaments last season, I believe, and it was a real highlighted point, Raven. We really talked about how impactful these tactical timeouts can be when called at the right minute. I actually would love to go back, and I think you know what? I will. I'm going to go back and have a look at how many tactical timeouts we had and what it led to, because there were some huge games that we really saw turn the tide on the back of a timeout, a back of a little break. You know, it gives the team so much to either talk about or just so much time to breathe for a second, because R6 can be a very intensive game. Unlike most where, you can, if you die, you then kind of kick back on your chair and maybe you just yell some comms, or maybe you're excited for a player. Rainbow Six is not like that at all. There is so much that goes on into it when you do end up on the player cams or even on your drones or default cams. It's so vital that you are giving your 100% attention all the time. And I think these are a great way of kind of breaking that down and turning them into mini games almost.
Yeah, I think that's totally true to form there. And I heard you reference about the timeout and just what that can mean. It totally casted my mind back to the Knights and, oh my lord, I'm going blank. Elevate game, jeez. Yep. There was that turning point where the Knights, I think they'd won maybe 1 or 2 rounds in a row, and then we had an extended break because there was a technical issue. And we discussed that maybe that was going to help the Knights. Turns out it did. They didn't lose a round from that point onwards, and they end up taking the map. So, look, maybe this is the turning point that Order need, just to be able to step back and get some perspective and figure out what's going wrong. And look, maybe we could see overtime. 4 rounds in defense in Oregon. Certainly not out of the realm of possibility.
And I guess we just have to hope and pray that this will be confirmed. Now, going off the logic of Guz and Xenox and, the fact that you really can't afford to look, to be fair, it's a really good point, as much as I hate to say it and as much as I don't like it. It is a really great comment that they have made multiple times on 100 different broadcasts to, you know, thousands of viewers that I'm sure are now well aware.
10 seconds left.
It is about winning this dorm site, because if you lose it, the chances of you winning meeting or, you know, maybe dining, whichever is favoured, is a lot less so. So it can be very dangerous leaving that up in the air. And Seventh Heaven have basically won the game on their logic. Now, I've seen Guz's logic be flawed before, so who knows?
Just going in, but no, totally. I really feel like it's going to be tough at this point onwards for Order. The odds are against them, but it certainly is still possible. They just need to really hit into some form, and that's just what they've struggled with. It's just, it hasn't felt like they've got form in this match. Like, they have won 2 rounds, but very disjointed in terms of they weren't back-to-back, you know, there was no momentum or anything like that. I don't know, I'm still a bit skeptical, but we'll see. Seventh Heaven, they've got a bit of work to do. And Dorms could be the answer.
Hello. There we go, nice little bit of use. Love that from PK, why not? Use that secondary hard breach. We don't see it all that often, in complete honesty. Or maybe we just don't see it on our screens, but it certainly has its place. Sure, you'd probably attest to that more than I would, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not that commonly used. I'm kind of surprised that it's being used. I feel like maybe even a mistake, I don't know. But stuns, certainly, I would say, to a degree more useful, but I don't know, either way, Seventh Heaven are getting it done here. They've made some pretty good progress. They've got good control through Master, Trophy. They've got that breach open, which is the all-important little check mark that you need when you're attacking dorms. So it is looking good for them so far.
Now, Jack Daddy can flank from over an attic, but I just don't foresee that being a thing, because it doesn't look like Seventh Heaven have put any attention whatsoever in there. And no, he's completely on his lonesome out there. He would have to be pretty lucky for someone to rotate back that way. But the way things are going, Seventh Heaven slowly but surely have kind of suffocated that site. 3 members of Order completely out of the realms of contesting any of the choke points in terms of a traditional sense. And, well, that's a waste. Becca shut down Spirited. ED now meeting up with Pecan, looking to trade out. I believe that may be Nico with a shotgun. Free kill in the meantime off-site. It has been a trade, but Raven, 20 seconds left.
Yeah, 20 seconds left, and it's essentially a 2v4 because Ray is down. This is going to be really tough for Seventh Heaven to bring this one back to Order. They may have survived to fight yet another round. Just got to lock that in here.
Covered the bomb diffuser. 5 seconds to go.
They know that his counterpart is injured or not. It'll be confirmed when they do inevitably take him down. And in all honesty, good sign from Order. That was a much, much cleaner round. Maybe Seventh Heaven playing into their hand a little bit more so than we've seen in other rounds. No doubt. As we head down to the laundry defense, I would love to see an Order-style send here from Seventh Heaven. Just straight down rear stage stairs and no thoughts in the process. Just send with a lion charge.
That definitely sounds like your style. Look, we'll see whether they do it, but doesn't look like it. I mean, their operator lineup is not shouting.
You
rush.
say that?
I
you
do say that. I'm so wrong. They just pick it the ying. I don't know. Maybe that's maybe that is the sign that we need here. But look, they really did struggle on the laundry supply attack last round. Oh, I shouldn't say last round. Sorry, round 7. They got good map control, but they failed to do anything with it, and that was the real kicker there. Is it just ended up coming down to that last minute execute that really didn't eventuate to anything. So I think if they can find some early picks, or even just some better early pressure onto Order, maybe they'll be set up for a better chance here.
Yep. Maybe. Hopefully. But in all honesty, Seventh Heaven, well, okay, not in all honesty, in blatant kind of obvious fashion, 7th Heaven have at least secured a point, so all the Order can walk away with is the 2 points from the overtime win. Again, can be quite crucial. We look back to something like Stage 1 standings, and it was the difference between Q-Confirm and 7th Heaven in the playoff spot. So it's 2 points really do change completely your outcome of a season. And Order could have done with maybe an extra 2 points here or there. So forcing it to OT, especially in this position, is going to be hard. But I mean, I'm saying that, and Order are making this possible. They are really taking the fight to 7th Heaven here.
Yeah, that's a great early pick, because Pika has proven all through Stage 1 that he's quite a deadly entry player in general, but on the sledge in particular, he's quite the beast. And yeah, look, he's off the board early. It's really going to dent into 7th Heaven's attack and a dent into their bites, because, you know, when you do lose that entry player, sometimes you become a bit slower, a bit more stalled out, hesitant, because you don't have that natural player that's following up drones or trying to find that little pick.
Does always worry you in that aspect of exactly like you're saying, losing that player. And on the back of this, really, I'm really happy with how, I think calm is the best word to say for Order, how calm they've decided to play this one out. Instead of holding their ground, looking for more picks, looking for more contact, they have certainly played a lot more reserved in that aspect. And right now, it is slowly and surely just ripping away the time for 7th Heaven, which they now seem to only just be getting an idea of what the approach is going to be. It looks like they are rotating out to blue, so a pinch from rear stage, the electric hatch, and maybe, just maybe blue. It looks like that's going to be the play.
I mean, this is going to help flush Jack Daddy out, but he still has such a strong position. He's got a shield there to cover him. He's got reinforced walls. Elbow's been fully reinforced off as well, so even though they might get this bunker control, it's not netting them a massive amount. And this is where it's going to get chaotic, and here it is.
Yeah, ED leading it. Can't find more than one, but Spec Up, that's a really important trade. If he's allowed to take that room away from Order, it gets a lot more tight and constricting for them to move around. However, they do have certain positions that are critical, right, in this point, and Spirited taking down Specca makes that even harder. Souffle has to hit that, and he does. Bailey, the last to remain, what looked so good from Order, has been ripped away from 7th Heaven in the last 30 seconds of the round, and it nets him an all-important win. Surely that isn't another 7-3 defeat that 7th Heaven have delivered Order on play day 1.
Here's 2 stages in a row, same scoreline, different maps, but regardless, we have the same answer. And man, Souffle really heated up in that second half.
Yeah,
that was actually crazy. And 14 and 5 he ends up on. Incredible effort from not just him, of course, but 7th Heaven as well. It did feel like they just had Order's number that entire map. It was almost inevitable that this is the result we were going to get.
Yeah, I mean, they had to see 3 more consecutive sites if Order wanted to bring that back and push it to OT. And this is an incredible sign from 7th Heaven. We were, I mean, the desk was saying it perfectly. We really did write them off in stage 1, and you know, I think we all have a bit of egg on our face for that, and rightfully so. We can all admit, rightfully so. Stage 2, however, they're a different beast, and so are we. We kind of saw this one coming this time. There was no surprises. 7th Heaven are looking as in good a form as they have in stage 1. That's really concerning for a team like Order.
Yeah, it is. I think that's a really big story there. It is concerning for Order. We talked a lot about how this is their opportunity to start this stage on a better foot, and try and find some better form, but look far from it. In fact, comparatively, I almost feel like this was less convincing than their stage 1 loss, or their round 1 loss last stage. So that's a bit concerning, but look, we don't want to write them off too early. There's still a lot of play to happen in the stage. But you know, the best thing about the 7th Heaven victory is an ED interview.
Yes, it certainly is. I mean, ED, to be fair, is probably our favourite interview. I mean, look, Onigiri's close. Onigiri is really
Also
close
great.
to being one of our favorite interviewees because he is phenomenal. But honestly, ED just has a spirit about him that is unrivaled and unmatched. And I think also, you know, in the server as well, Seventh Heaven just bring that to every occasion, every game that we've seen them play in. There is almost a never die attitude to that. And I think it was the perfect example of Knights last stage in the 6-0 first half. They still managed to bring it back. Although they didn't win, a point was claimed, a really important point at that. And I do think that, you know, there are just so many players on Spirited now. Unspirited. I was thinking of Spirited as the perfect example. On Seventh Heaven, like Spirited, that once they start to come into their own and flourish in the frag department, per se, it could completely change where we expect that top 4 placing.
Yeah, look, I think that's such a great point. I mean, gone are the days of Siege where you really do have 1 or 2 hard support players where their primary role is to drone and excel with communication and kind of coordinating the team. Doesn't really happen that way anymore, and the predominant structure is where you have support players that can frag out. And the fact that Spirited is really settling into that was a great performance from him on this map. I think that's really scary for a lot of opponents in APAC South, and a great sign for Seventh Heaven and their development. Could really push them into, you know, a really good upper position this stage.
To be honest, it's a great segue and closing statements from us here on the commentary desk. We're going to throw it back to, of course, the actual desk where the real work gets done. Please, boys, before you take it, make sure you get a Xenox and ED comparison of their gaming chairs. That's all I care about. Enjoy.
That's the only thing Manic cares about, apparently. Auto win for Seventh Heaven. They looked incredible, and the team that we expected to be off the back of Stage 1 dev, they've lived up to the expectations we've now put on them.
Yeah, they certainly did. It was big from Seventh Heaven to not only beat Order the first time in the previous stage, but yeah, doubling down now. I think it's well and truly just an accepted fact now that Seventh Heaven is a top contender in not only APAC South, but in the wider APAC circuit as well. These guys are really, really strong, and they've really been developing despite, of course, not going to SI. They did have that APAC playoffs, and still just working hard. And look, Order, I would say the same for, but you know, it's clearly not enough. And Seventh Heaven, an even more convincing scoreline than the last time they beat Order.
Yeah, we saw glimmers of hope there from Order, but it was the consistency, I think, overall, the team consistency that did drag Seventh Heaven across the line quite convincingly so in the end. I guess that's sort of what we guessed heading into this matchup, that the more well-rounded and consistent team would come out on top. So it's a strong start for Seventh Heaven. Stage 1 maybe wasn't just some miracle once off, and they can start to build upon that campaign for the rest of this stage.
Most definitely. Let's go and have a chat with one of our favourites over the last couple of months. It's ED, who is coming in for a quick chat. Happy days. Congratulations. How is the team feeling coming into Stage 2? Good start with a win.
Yes. Long time no see. Long time no see. And for team, like we trying to be our best shape, and I believe that we pay enough effort during the rest season. So I think that we'll be very impactful in this season. Yes.
Yeah, well, you were already very impactful last season, finishing in 4th place in APAC South, and of course you went into the playoffs as well. But you mentioned that you guys have been practicing really hard during the break. What kinds of things have you been doing, and what do you think is different? How do you think you guys are actually even better than you were last stage, and what are you going to bring to the table?
Because we were a rookie team last season, so we know that we kind of lack of experience in like basic stuff, like room clear kind of basic stuff. So we put a lot of attention on the basic things, like just do the just use the simple strat and play on screen. Like just want to test how far can we go. Yeah, so we really did a lot of effort on this part.
Now it looks like not only did your
my
team...
gaming chair, sorry.
He did it!
But anyway,
ED,
I was going to ask ED...
It's an upgrade.
I was going to say, not only did your team get a bit of an upgrade heading into this stage, but the seat as well. How has that improved your performance so far? How much of a difference has it made?
Holy, let me tell you. As soon as I sit on this chair, I feel like I'm the best. I have the best aiming skill in APAC. So, believe me or not.
He's like a chair salesman. Edie, give us your final thoughts on the match and the way that you guys are looking to the rest of the stage. Are you excited for the rest of stage 2 and what you guys can achieve?
Yes. So about today's match, I think Order is a great opponent against with, and yes, we can feel the pressure is real, but we handle it in the right way. Teammates give me a good call, and I'm in game leader. I also give them good call. So it's about teamwork. So today we play really good at teamwork, and though about this season's achievement, I think we have to keep our playoff spot. Yes, and the final achievement is like I hope we can get in SI or get in Invitational, like the biggest tournament at future. Yes, and we will keep paying effort to move forward on it. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and hopefully by the end of the season, maybe we can get you an even better chair upgrade. Best of luck, and we'll see you next week, mate.
Please.
Take care.
Okay, bye bye.